going on, everybody, and welcome to episode 1. Brian Leighton here, your host, alongside my co-host, DeMeo. Really excited to launch this new podcast. We're going to be talking about our businesses, specifically in the cleaning industry. I have a commercial cleaning company, residential cleaning company, and kind of a property maintenance type business. Ray is heavily invested in carpet cleaning and upholstery and tile and grout, more of your floor type services. And we've both been in the industry for quite a few years now and have had different approaches. So we're going to talk about the industry, talk about our services, more importantly, talk about business. This is a podcast that, hopefully is informational and educational to anybody looking to start their own business. And of course, we're going to talk about food. Maybe we'll have some liquor on here as well. See, Ray is a food connoisseur, so he's going to always bring in some treats and drink some espresso, and we're just going to talk, kind of hang out and just talk business. So again, welcome everybody to episode 1. So Ray, let's dive right into it.
All right.
How did you get into the cleaning industry?
I've been in the cleaning industry into some capacity my entire life. My mother used to clean houses for a husband and wife, and then eventually their 3 of their 4 kids who had condos then moved into houses. At that point I was probably somewhere between 6 and 10. So I'd be vacuuming the carpet, sometimes the floors, while my mother was doing other things, and sometimes I'd just be watching television. And then fast forward to my first job, of course there was cleaning involved.
Nice.
In fact, they had a terrazzo floor in this retail space. I was applying floor finish to it because the owner wanted that wet, glossy look. But I know today that you would never apply finish to a product like terrazzo. You always hone it and polish it as if it were marble or some other stone. Awesome.
So obviously you had quite an interesting journey as a kid, and Mom was in the industry a little bit. Mm-hmm. How did you get into carpet cleaning, and then how did you come up with the name Sunshine Cleaning Systems?
That's a great question. I started out doing janitorial in the early 2000s for 2 or 3 small places, once or twice a week, and it didn't strike me. It just wasn't fun. And then one day I learned or read about this class that was going to be coming to the area to become a certified commercial carpet maintenance technician. And I'm scratching my head going, what could there be to carpet cleaning? Let me go to the class anyway. So I went to it, and I was basically hooked from that point. I continued attending classes as they were offered in the general area, local distributors. And then it was hard coming up with a business name. I was just scratching my head for weeks and months at a time, and then eventually decided on Sunshine Cleaning Systems, because sunshine makes everybody happy. They smile. They think it's green, environmentally friendly. You can open your windows up, and that's pretty much it.
Awesome. And was there, through the janitorial kind of experience or commercial cleaning experience, you were just like, hey, I want to focus more on a specific niche when it comes to carpet cleaning and floor type care?
You could say that. I felt my skills and talents could have been better utilized in something that required additional attention and knowledge, basically.
Nice.
And it was learning how to clean carpet from the get-go, so that I knew the processes, protocols, and procedures before I ever cleaned my first carpet.
Awesome. Tell us a little bit about your certifications and kind of like your education in the...
Most of the instructors that I talk to on a regular basis tell me that I have more training and certifications than just about anyone they know. And I continue taking those today because the industry is always changing, and I want to make sure I'm staying abreast and ahead of those changes, so that when I'm faced with a challenge or obstacle, I know how to handle it, and even if I don't, I have resources that I can reach out to.
Yeah, which is massively important, right?
Extremely.
So that's Ray's story. My story's, I don't want to say too different, but it's definitely different. And I think that's what's going to be interesting about this podcast is we have 2 different perspectives, obviously the same industry, 2 different perspectives, 2 different ways of building a business and a successful businesses. No right or wrong way of doing things, just again, different approach. So I made my way to Massachusetts in 2005, went to college down here, and 2009 January of 2009, I was kind of a little bit panic mode in the sense of, here I am about to graduate in May. Not really a lot of experience. I played college sports, and I was just kind of one of those kids that had a little bit of experience, but just was trying to look for more. So I brainstormed a couple different ideas and starting a business. I knew I wanted to be an entrepreneur right out of the get-go, whatever cost that was. Spoke with my guidance counselor, Hi Pearl, and just kind of brainstormed some ideas, whether it was online retail, consulting, cleaning. And I thought, hey, listen, how hard can cleaning be? Looking back now. But nonetheless, ended up starting, at the time, it was called Professional Home and Commercial Cleaners, is where PHC comes from, and there's a story behind that. Started PHC with $600 in my pocket, knew nothing about cleaning, knew nothing about business. At the very least, it was going to help build my resume so I could say, hey, well, I dove into management, I dove into marketing, this is how I did. It failed, but this is what I learned from it, was the idea. Obviously, it didn't fail, and here we are. But massive learning curve along the way. Again, with no experience in business development and no experience in the industry that I wouldn't even say, obviously I enjoyed. I'm a clean person. I enjoy cleaning, but it was never something that I was like, oh, I'm absolutely going to start a cleaning, own my own cleaning business one day. And so, little by little, I focused on the business development side of things, where obviously, as you can see, Ray became a master of his craft. I became more focused on, okay, like, how do we build a business, process and procedures, hiring the right people, marketing, building website, taught myself, coding and SEO and SEM, and essentially, that's how I built the company out of nothing. And then we'll kind of dive into how Ray and I met. Mm-hmm. So part of marketing on a shoestring budget is just kind of cold calling and emailing people. And I was on LinkedIn one day and just kind of researching people in the industry, local industry, and wanted to just pick their brains and learn as much as I could. Well, the first person I messaged on LinkedIn was Ray. Obviously I saw his LinkedIn profile page and I thought, dang, this guy knows what the hell what he's talking about here. And he had obviously a professional website, and he had everything that I didn't really have. He had all the equipment, he had the van, he had obviously the knowledge. So I was like, I gotta at least sit down with this guy and just learn more. And the rest is history. I can't remember. We had coffee at
Cafe on the Common.
Cafe on the Common. Cheers to Cafe on the Common.
Yep.
I don't know. Is it still around?
Yes, it's still around.
Oh, it's still around. It's a good spot. Really good spot. If you're in Waltham on Main Street, Cafe on the Common is kind of the corner of Main Street and Moody, right?
Correct.
Yeah. It's
right across from the Common.
Yeah, it's a good spot. I've been there multiple times. Anyways, that's where I met Ray. And so we've known each other for, man, what is that? Was that 2010, 2011-ish?
That sounds about right.
Yeah, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm.
And what ended up happening, why we changed the name from Professional Home and Commercial Cleaners to PHC Cleaners, which again, they didn't really teach you this in business and building the world's longest name, So
Right.
we did just a little simple carpet cleaning many years ago, and that name is very hard to write on the check. So the client just wrote PHC, Professional Home and Commercial Cleaners, and gave me the check. I actually still have that check today, and I thought, there it is. That's the name, That's the name, So I can't even tell you. I could dig up the files and thank that client, but so that's what PHC came from, and PHC's developed into. We service multiple states now. We're in Maine, Massachusetts, New Hampshire, and our mission now is to strategize and taking up a bigger geographical area. We really focus on process and procedures and kind of doing the right thing. And I think that's where Ray and I really complement each other. Is he's very focused on quality, and I'm very focused on quality. We have different approaches to it, and so that's that. So everybody wants to know. I think in business, I listen to a lot of business podcasts. I know you, do a lot of research as well, and just trying to get a good idea of like how to build a business, how to run a business. Mm-hmm. What have been your biggest challenges in the cleaning industry?
The lead generation and getting folks to understand the quality and time that things sometimes take and need, to be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's very hard to describe that over the phone or in an email to someone.
Yeah.
So
How do you, and I think that's a big thing too, right? I think, if, and I can certainly relate to this, before I actually started a cleaning company, I would even say up into the years, at least 2 or 3 years in, cleaning's cleaning. And, I think it's perception that most people,
yes.
think, cleaning's cleaning, like how hard can it be? Well, especially when you get into more specific or niche services, but a little bit more heavy duty like Ray does, where you need to understand, the materials that you're treating. I mean, obviously PHC does as well, but understanding the materials you're treating, the solutions you're utilizing, the mixture of solutions sometimes, like we were talking about alkaline and salt, and understanding the chemistry in that, right? And how do you get rid of that? So how do you educate? Like, how do you try to educate your clients or potential clients, or how does that work?
I sometimes try to, that's more common on the commercial side. I try giving tips and little strategies and things to avoid to my residential customers, just because it's going to be more successful and more likely that I can remove something if they haven't tried something like Resolve or OxyClean, which typically can set spots or stains in either on carpet or upholstery, or products like Fabuloso or the Swiffer Wet Jet, which leave heavy residues and sticky floors and intoxicating fragrances.
So that's a good point. So what's the problem with? I know you said Swiffer Wet Jet, and I'm guilty as charged. My wife's got a couple. I'll blame it on my wife. Thanks, Molly. She uses them a little bit. You said it leaves a residue. Why is that a problem?
Because that's going to lead to soil being attracted to that residue much faster. And that's because the fragrances that are put in those products are typically in the form of an oil. And I don't care who you are or what you do, the last time I checked, oil and water didn't mix. So it's that fragrance that's being left behind, and that's just bad overall. I mean, it can even lead to slip and falls. If someone comes in from either rain on their footwear or heavy snow, they're going to come in and they're going to slip because oil and water don't mix.
Yeah, that's a good point.
So it's a huge safety issue too. I mean, especially in the commercial sector where maybe you have a retail operation and these products that shouldn't be used on the floors are, that could lead to a slip and fall and some lawsuits going on. And nobody needs to be injured or something that's preventable like that.
Of course. So. And I think this is important, especially if there's entrepreneurs on here, no matter the business. My pathway and Ray, similar pathway, right? We were not so much myself anymore, but definitely you. But at a time I was super hands-on, right? Yes. Hands-on. Right. You're in there. So I just remember looking back, not having any employees. I'd hire a couple, my college buddies, and just I was getting my master's degree at the time. After I graduated, then I went and got my master's, and I remember just scrubbing toilets, the dirtiest of dirtiest jobs, and I'm like.
Guilty.
Sometimes, you ask yourself, like, what the hell are you doing, man? Like, you're getting a master's degree in business, like, and in that time, you feel this kind of like lower than kind of perspective, right? But now I'm looking back, and I'm like, those are some of the biggest learning moments, in my career, and I'll do it to this day. And when we bring on managers, or we bring on staff. You need to know the job.
Of course.
You need to know the job. You need to not only know the process and procedures on the business side, but you need to be in the trenches.
Yes, exactly.
So, kind of back to your original question, we got a call. I'll never forget this. So we didn't even have a company line yet. I was using my cell phone, and I get a call, and somebody said, my friend left, he trashed the apartment, and he said, okay. I said, oh, wow, interesting. So first I didn't believe it, and then I realized, this is a real client. Again, that's how kind of like fresh I was into it. And so we go to this beautiful apartment building downtown. Okay. And guy was very nice, and we go in, and it was so bad. When you opened the door, you had to push your shoulder into the door, and you could hear all the trash moving.
Wow.
Behind the door. Wow. And that's that was my first experience with like a filth cleaning, hoarding / cleaning. It was less hoarding, it was just filth. And this, it was a situation where this had been going on for a very long time, and
Certainly.
There's like it's a small apartment, one bedroom apartment in downtown, and but it was just a disaster. And if you've seen the show Hoarders, you've seen the show Hoarders.
Seen a few episodes.
Yeah. Obviously, it looks like that, but the worst part isn't the visual or like seeing that. It's the smell.
Yeah.
It is just.
Yes.
it's like you can't even explain it, right? Like
no,
you can't even explain it. So there was piles of kitty litter, and there was trash everywhere, and little path to get you into the living room, a path to get into the bedroom, which was very clean, a path to get into the bathroom, a tiny little path to get into the kitchen, just absolutely destroyed. So I gave the guy says, how much do you think this will charge? And I looked him square in the face and I said, $900.
Okay.
So my buddy at the time said, Brian, can I talk to you? And we went outside and he said, there's no way we're doing this for $900.
No.
So we went back in, charged him a little bit more, still nearly not enough now looking back.
Yep.
And this is really where I had just started dating my now wife, Molly, who has been just an absolute savior in all of this and standing by my side in all this. And it definitely takes, you got to make sure if you're in a relationship and you're an entrepreneur, you need somebody that's very strong. And so Molly had taken some days off from work. She worked a corporate job and her office was right down the street, and took some days off for work and put on a hazmat suit and went to town with me.
Wow.
And I'll never forget. Like, if looks could kill, this is like the best story. So there's piles of kitty litter, just used kitty litter.
Yeah.
And I felt terrible because I was like, I'll do all the work. I'll do all the work. So it was me, Molly, my buddy, and his girlfriend as well. And I just felt bad that she was even, because I didn't have any employees. And, we're all in hazmat suits and masks and everything. And I'm like, just hold the bag open. Just hold the big contractor bag open. We literally were using snow shovels. Scoop the kitty litter, and I dumped the I dumped the kitty litter into the bag. Yeah. It's a big thing, went poof. And well, if nobody's familiar with kitty litter and the contents of kitty litter, when you take kitty litter and you dump it, the amount of dust that comes out. So Molly had her head down like this. Thank God she had a mask on and goggles and everything else.
Yes.
It was just like a smoke show. It was just. And then the dusk settles, and Molly picked her head up like this. Like, I couldn't even see her eyes. There's so much dust going over her goggles. But if looks could kill, I feel she just lasered me right there.
I'm sure.
So that was definitely like one of the worst. We've dealt with a lot of real tough ones. That was obviously being the first one, and so that was one of the worst. And I mean, we had two dumpsters. We filled two dumpsters. It was something like 85 large contractor trash bags.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it was
I'm sorry, you said this was one bedroom?
This is a one bedroom. Yeah.
85 bags?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, it was. You can only imagine. We still have before and afters on our website, and really, it turned out really well. And then we actually, at the end of the day, what ended up happening, the fire marshal was involved, and if the apartment wasn't cleaned out, it would have condemned the whole building.
Okay.
Obviously, massive safety.
Right. Yes. Safety first.
Safety issue. So we went in and we did that, and that was a job I was very proud of because it was the first one. Even though, it took us 3 or 4 days to get it done, but it was awesome. But that was a tough one, and just going back, like, so touching up on that, I said it earlier, and I think this is a deep thing probably for most people that want to start a business or in the trenches right now, and maybe you're doing something that you love doing, maybe you're doing something you don't love doing. That emotion, right? Of when you started Sunshine Cleaning Systems and you're cleaning carpets, there's a little bit of a people looking down to you. Do you feel that? Yeah. Talk about that.
In the beginning, yes. It just felt like people thought of cleaning as the lowest spectrum of the totem pole. It means that you didn't go to college or you didn't have an education, and that it's okay that it's your livelihood, but they don't understand that. It's your only source of income, but they don't get that. and that was hard to deal with, and especially the pricing aspect. I mean, learning pricing alone, and being afraid to raise my prices. But then I kept saying to myself, well, this person, I've never worked with them, they've never hired me, they don't know what I charged the previous person. So I slowly began increasing my prices over time, and I had to make sure that it was worth my while, because there's much more expenses than people realize. Just because I'm charging you $200 doesn't mean that money is going directly in my pocket.
Right.
And again, that's hard to tell people today, but it was even harder to learn back then.
Yeah.
And I was probably honestly working for free, or in some aspects, I was paying people because I was getting so little.
Right. Right.
I mean, I was getting $75 a week to clean the one of those first janitorial accounts, and it was taking me 3.5 hours, and I had to put my own supplies and equipment in my van and bring them in and out each time, and that was very time consuming. So it was probably closer to 5 hours when you add the commute to and from.
Right.
So no, I mean, granted, I didn't have insurance at the time either, but it was still it wasn't worth it looking back. But it's the life lessons that you learn, like you were saying earlier.
And I think that's a huge thing too. It's like, you're going to take anything from this podcast and additional episodes as we go through is, yes, we're going to talk about cleaning in our businesses, but how can you relate that to your business or the business you want to start? And listen, and Ray will say the same thing about me. I'm one of those guys that's like, don't tell me. I want to learn, even if I'm wrong. Even if I'm wrong.
Oh yeah.
Even if I'm wrong, and that's right, wrong, or indifferent. I'm very stubborn, and I think I think that's a blessing, because I never would have gotten the business to where it is now. After that one job, or after just days of cleaning and then working and then cleaning, and you're like, what am I doing this for? But yeah, back to like pricing. I think that's a big deal as well. Because I struggled with pricing a long time, long time, and you were always saying like, dude, you got to charge more. But you get in this mindset of like, and again, this can go for any business. I think it's important that you, and I studied the market. I studied what people were charging, but I still wanted to be like, oh, I want to be affordable, right?
Right.
And so my prices were very low for a long time, and I never really made money, if you will. I mean, obviously made money, but not nearly as much as I should have been. It took this guy a long time to excuse, dude, you're not charging enough. And obviously with me being like, don't tell me, we go back and forth on it, but at the end of the day, it was right. And I think pricing also, illustrates value, and because I dealt with the same thing. I remember, again, starting the business, and thank God for great college, great friends, kids I went to college with. They all, there's a bunch of people that had rented apartments or rented houses, frat house, whatever, not frat houses, obviously, but just with friends, and to get their deposit back, they need somebody to come clean it, so they'd call me, and that was a very kind of interesting dynamic. Here's kids that you're getting your master's degree with, doing business courses with, and now you're scrubbing their toilet and cleaning out their nasty refrigerators. Come on, guys, like, clean your fridge, man.
Yes, please do.
But again, like, one of those situations where it humbles you. It definitely humbles you. But
you have more appreciation for people who have to do that type of work.
1,000%. Because obviously I didn't have to do that type of work, but I wanted to build something. And same thing with Ray. Obviously, he's got a lot of different experiences and different interests. But he loves what he does.
I do. I truly do.
Yeah.
I love that instant gratification that I'm able to bring to my customers and clients.
And now that is let's dive in that. This might be a hot topic, right? Mm-hmm. So, obviously in the service industry, because that's what we're in, our product, or I'll say this, because I'm not taking back what I just said. At the end of the day, when it comes to cleaning, there's an immediate gratification, and there's an immediate before and after.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And so maybe this goes to the educational piece, right? So back in the day, like we would just, every job had to be perfect, and if there was a complaint or anything like that, obviously that was a hard thing taking. So
yes.
How do you prepare a client? Because like carpet is definitely different in some aspects, because you can't always clean it.
No, you can't.
And so how do you What are your trials and tribulations with that?
You have to set the expectations up front, let them know what the limitations are going to be, but you have to do a proper and thorough inspection, which means identifying the carpet fiber, and in my case, using a black light or a UV light, because that'll show me a number of things, including if there's spots and stains that spilt that you can't see under natural light. And if they use cleaning products with optical brighteners, such as OxyClean and Resolve, and sometimes it'll even show other things. I can recall one time I was using my light and I was in a closet, and there was an exact footprint of the gentleman's shoe that was fluorescing orange. Whereas if it's a food-based product, it's going to be like a lime or avocado green, and the optical brighteners with OxyClean and Resolve are going to be a bluish, purplish, whitish color. But this orange I had not seen on a carpet. I've seen it several times on concrete. And I tried reaching out to even the manufacturer of the light and said, what could this be? And for legal reasons or whatever they said at the time, we can't say anything. So I reached out to some of my industry peers and said, hey, I ran into this orange thing. What could it be? And they said something to do with the finishing aspect of the footwear, in this case. But if there's something orange, it's something having a reaction with the carpet from the finishing side of an item. So it's knowing those type of things before you start the job, that you can then tell your customer or client, hey, this is cleanable, this isn't, or hey, are you willing to accept these limitations or not? And then that means I can proceed or I can't.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the bottom line, both Brian and I agree that we want our customers to be happy and satisfied, but for things that are beyond our capability and control, you need to know that before we start.
Yeah, 1,000%. I think it's massively important. Obviously, that comes with experience, and that comes with
correct.
Again, obviously in that situation, understanding materials and products and that, and chemicals.
Yes.
But at the end of the day, whatever business you're in, it's setting an expectation. Certainly you don't want to undersell yourself and say,
nope,
there's no way I can do this or I know I can do that. In every single instance, obviously there's going to be instances where you can't. And I think it's important to be honest with your clients on whether you can perform the job or you can't perform the job.
Correct.
And so I think understanding that aspect of it, and it's challenging for businesses like ours in the service industry, where it's immediate.
Mm-hmm.
The clients can see it.
Yes,
right. So, if somebody doing drywall, leaves a few screws inside the wall,
you're not going to know.
You'll never know, right?
Or how about even take oral health? You're not going to check that the dentist remove all the tartar from your mouth.
Right. Again,
you don't have the tools or stuff.
Right. Not saying there's dentists out there that leave tartar on your teeth, but
right.
Just in general, right? It's those are the things that you can't always see immediately.
Correct.
We all have eyes, and I think that's where that prior to setting an expectation, that's where that ideology of cleaning's cleaning. It's dirty.
Correct.
Everything should be able to be cleaned, and it's clean, and it's obviously not always.
That's not the case.
Not always the case. Part of our episodes, part of our podcast, Ray's gonna bring on some sweet treats here and there.
Yes.
So what do we got today, my man?
We have the Common Good, located on Moody Street in Waltham. They're a cafe and a co-working space. Today I picked up a savory scone as well as a chocolate chip muffin.
What are you gonna say about them? What's the?
Savory scone is very good. A lot of spices and herbs. A slight bit of sort of a white bread meets a sourdough, so not too chewy, not too soft, but just good flavor overall. And chocolate chip muffin's always great. And we had some coffee from there as well, so that was good too. And that's from a roaster located in Plymouth, I believe.
Nice. Awesome.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're drinking espressos. Ray finishes. He's a
yes
fiend.
Yes.
So let's for our viewers that are not maybe necessarily cleaning. Let's talk business a little bit.
Sure.
The good, the bad, and the ugly.
Okay.
Right, and the challenges that come with that. So again, we're in the same industries, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Ray's obviously has more of a niche to carpets and floors and upholstery. where I'm more PHC is more general cleaning and maintenance type services. Ray's the man. He's a one-man show.
Yes,
He's the guy. He's the guy. When you call Sunshine Cleaning Systems, this guy shows up, right?
That's me.
When you call PHC, I may answer the phone, may pick up the email, may be there, but we have multiple employees. We have general manager, we have multiple regional managers, multiple employees. So just different structures, etc.
Right.
Different but the same, right? And so, right, what is being a, and I'll be able to obviously relate to this, to a certain degree as well, because I was there and I'm still there. Mm-hmm. Being an owner operator.
Yes.
What the hell? Like, what are the challenges with that? And how many hats do you have to wear?
I have to wear many hats. I would say 15 or 20 on an average day. Just throw a number out. I mean, as the cleaning technician, you have to be like an inspector, you have to be a chemist, you have to be have some patience, you have to be savvy, analytical, careful. That's just a small partial list.
Yeah.
But
what about the business side of it, the organizational piece? What do you
that is challenging too, because you have to be the manager, the entrepreneur, the technician, you have to be the accounting person. You have to be payroll, you have to be the person who gets the supplies, you have to be the person who has the equipment maintained, I mean, all that. Yeah. Order supplies when they run out or run low. You're the marketing person, you're the website developer, all that.
Yeah, yeah.
The receptionist. So it's very challenging, and then even getting to jobs sometimes. I just put them, okay, I can't do this today, let me finish it tomorrow, kind of thing, because you get overburdened.
Yeah, yeah. How do you manage, how do you deal with all that? Like, how is your, do you like structure your day out, like, hey, I'm going to do these calls or handle these jobs, and then I'm going to come back and I'm going to work on accounting here or marketing here?
Yeah, I'll start with a job early in the morning, so get there between 8 and 9 o'clock. Do the job sometimes, because a job's never the same, so you don't know how long it's going to take till you get there. So it could take 2 hours, it could take 6 hours. And then when that's finished, especially if it's carpet or area rugs, I now have to go and get one of my machines ready by cleaning it and getting it ready for the next job, because that's very important. We don't want to bring stuff from someone else's house into someone else's.
Right.
We always want to...
contamination, yeah.
Right. But it's also maintaining the equipment so that it lasts a long time, not replacing it every year.
Right.
And then, I will usually do some stuff in my truck, because I do have a laptop, so I'll get the invoice going, I'll accept the payment, and then possibly go to the bank that day, or when I'm nearby it again next.
Yeah, absolutely. No, and I can absolutely relate. PHC might be more a different kind of infrastructure, if you will, with multiple employees, but still wear a lot of hats, right? We're not a huge company where I've got somebody for every category, so I still have to wear a lot of hats. Maybe a little bit different now, but certainly when I was, I didn't hire my first employee until 3 years into the business, right? Mm-hmm. And then even then, you hire multiple employees, shit just goes away.
Yes.
No pun intended. So, I think that's been my biggest challenge, obviously, is people. What I was saying earlier was like, I'm taking that back, but at the end of the day, in this business, or at least we see it this way, our people are the product of PHC, right?
Absolutely.
Training your people, having people that have great customer service skills, interpersonal skills, obviously can do the job, but we also look for people, as I mentioned earlier, that can be cross-trained, right? Absolutely. And do multiple things, So our general manager, her name's Jasenia, she is excellent. She started off with us part-time, right? Mm-hmm. And then became full-time, and now is a general manager. She oversees multiple states. She's on the job sites here and there. She does marketing for us. She does accounting for us. She works with our accounting department, all kinds of things, right? And so, obviously she's a great person that we'll take care of, right? Mm-hmm. And just like all of our staff, and we try to provide that opportunity for people to grow.
Right.
But certainly, wearing multiple hats. I remember, oh my word, this is talking about it before I even hired employees. Even when I did have employees, I just had so many jobs. It was 7 days a week. most of our jobs are in the evenings. We did do daytime stuff like turnovers or filth cleans and things like that.
Right.
But commercial sector, it's mostly evenings, right? After businesses close or offices close. So you're working all day, and then you gotta go do the jobs. Don't get home till 1 a.m. You're up at 7 a.m. You're doing estimates. You're doing bookkeeping. You're doing, and it just keeps going.
It really does.
And as I mentioned, having a she was my girlfriend at the time, then fiance, then wife, but just having somebody that in your life that's going to support that. Because I didn't have any family around.
Very important.
All my family's in Maine. I know your family's down here, so and they're massive. They're good supporters, right? Of your business, and just having people around you that support you and you're going to kind of be there for you in the the good, the bad, and the ugly, the thick and the thin.
Right.
So anybody looking to start their own business, or maybe they already have their business, there's no time. You have to be the janitor, you have to be the CEO, you have to be the accountant, you have to be the marketing. I want to talk a little bit about that on this episode, but we'll save the big bulk for it in future episodes. So Ray, this is things that you and I have talked about a lot as of recently, because we're always, we're always looking to market and advertise and bring on clients, etc.
Yes.
Tell us about that. Like, how do you market? Your because I think your approach is very different than mine. How do you are more of a relationship builder?
Yes.
So tell me about that. Tell me about that process. What is that like?
It is about creating that trust factor, that anyone can come to you with any questions, and that you can educate them and also solve their issue. It's about developing relationships with people who are getting requests for the services that you offer. You have that collaboration and complementary services, like a floor installation company and me cleaning carpet. That's a good collaboration. Or even you and I, as we started, you do a janitorial. At the time, you really didn't do carpet. You'd refer me.
Yeah. What about because you got me into this, back in the day, like Chamber of Commerce?
Yes.
Do you still do that?
No, I used to.
Yeah.
And, another one was BNI, which stands for Business Networking International. That just wasn't panning out for me either. I'm not quite sure why. But then you got other things like, what was that organization? Sorry.
Yeah.
But then you got to do stuff for your website.
Yeah.
You still can go to Chamber of Commerce events or other networking things. There's always things popping up everywhere.
Yeah.
One of my favorite things to go to is Eventbrite. And that lists both business events as personal events, hobbies, whatever you want. You can find just about anything on there. Some are free, some you got to pay for. Another one I like to do is a monthly cocktail series at Doña Habana in Boston, which is a Cuban restaurant.
There we go.
Best deal in Boston, $35 for 4 cocktails, for appetizers, and even free parking. $35, you got to get it.
Nice. So and I think that's important, and I don't want to say like I'm some like Grinch who sits in the dark in his computer and doesn't create relationships, but your approach, building your business has very much been kind of, getting out there, shaking hands, meeting people, still going to a lot of events.
Yeah.
You got me into that as well.
Mm-hmm.
My approach when it came specifically to the business was a different approach of marketing, like, SEO and whether it's podcast or, just, of course, and doing a good job, right? Yeah. And just, different advertising.
And let's not forget word of mouth. That is obviously the best.
Word of mouth.
Even you'll agree with that.
Yeah. Word of mouth is, and it goes back to it, right? You have a good product, you have a good service. Mm-hmm. Word of mouth. I mean, one of our largest clients, not the largest, but one of our largest clients was a referral from another business, right? And so, that wasn't because, we did X amount of marketing or advertising or spent X amount of money. It was simply, I think it was a manager moved from one company to the next.
Oh, okay.
And was like, hey, you got to hire this company. These guys are great. So, word of mouth is definitely, and I think the secret, again, this goes to any business, if you're going to rely on word of mouth, you better have good relationships.
Hands down. Could not agree more.
You better have good relationships. You better, because at the end of the day, people are referring you because they trust you.
Totally.
They
like you.
Yeah. So I think I think that's massively important.
Yes.
Any concluding thoughts you want to bring to the table here?
No.
Yeah.
This was a great first episode. I look forward to the others where we can divulge or dive into things even further.
Yeah.
And yeah.
Yeah, so I hope you guys all enjoyed it. Maybe learned something. Again, the podcast is going to be very much, low key, chill. We'll talk about the industry, talk about what's going on in our companies, that week, that month. We'll look to be doing at least one podcast a week. I am going to Mexico next week, so won't be right. But we'll definitely do them the following week. And we'll, I think there's a lot of resources. I know on my, social medias, I have a lot of friends, colleagues that are entrepreneurs that are into business or, want to start their own business.
Mm-hmm.
There's so much information that you're going to be able to pull from this. Now, whether or not, and we'll save this for the next one, whether or not you execute on it, that's on you. But at the end of the day, you've got two guys here with two different companies, face the same challenges.
Yes.
Been through the trenches.
Yes.
I've had that moment of like, oh man, what am I doing? But didn't give up.
No,
you
can't.
No, and I think there's you're just gonna get cold hard facts and truth, and you'll be able to relate to a lot of it. So again, thank you all for checking us out and joining us, and we'll see you on the next one. Take care.
Take care.